sponsors. We'll always also take donations. Feel free to scan that QR code. It'll get you to a website that'll show all the different addresses, and you can send via numerous different cryptocurrencies. And so as a meetup group, definitely would support your support. It'll show up, it'll come right back to you in food and drinks. And that's it. I'm going to hand it off to Chris Gershon to continue with the rest of the meetup. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you to Paul and Edge. Let's give it up for this beautiful space that we get to have and use. This is great, right? I mean, it's really all about community, right? I mean, crypto is actually when you realize after you've been in it for a while that it's pretty much a small community. Everybody knows everybody else, and if you step on toes, someone's going to know it. If you cross somebody's path the wrong way, there's someone else is going to talk about it. They're going to find out. So that's why we don't see some faces anymore. Right? The community polices itself, right? So new year, there's going to be new scams on the way. And as Paul mentioned, I own a company called Coinstructive, and Coinstructive does a couple different things, but the main thing that it does is crypto fraud investigation work. So we help victims figure out what happened to their crypto and figure out whether or not it's even worth going after to recover or not. We work with law enforcement and lawyers, and we're also getting into the expert witness game. So if you know people that are getting divorced and they need somebody to prove that the other person had more than they say they did, you know who to find. But one of the things that I think is actually really interesting that's happened, everybody knows about Tornado Cash, right? So I also do like some regulatory legislative stuff, but I always like to try to, if I can, get at least something new or news article or talk to charity about what's going on that will actually affect all of us, right? And one of the big things, because everybody knows that Tornado Cash got shut down and people were thrown in jail and being, persecuted for building software. And there's been 2 more companies that have been indicted as these crypto mixers for money laundering. So if anyone's ever heard of Sinbad.io or Blender.io, yeah. The operators from those 2 organizations have been indicted for money laundering. And why is this a big deal? Because the software that they built is non-custodial. Okay? This is a really bad precedence to set, because what you're basically telling everyone is, even though I don't touch the money, the law enforcement is saying you're still responsible. You still facilitated the transfer because you built the software.
Now I'm mad.
This is really bad for our friends here at Edge, right? They're a non-custodial wallet. Does that mean every transfer that anybody does using their wallet, they would need to have money transmitter licenses for? That's absolutely insane, right? So this is government way overreaching, right? Because if you can't touch the money, if you can't touch the keys, we all know if it's not your keys, it's not your coins. That's how the software is written. It's specifically written that way so that the developers don't have to get these licenses, and yet that's what they're being charged for. So we're at a very crucial tipping point in this industry from where we're at to allow open and free innovation to completely stifling it to where, unless you're a really big funded company, you won't be able to afford to stay up with it. I got a question here in the front before we get started.
Yeah, real quick. I know Tornado Cash was open source. Oh, sorry. I'm not sure if these other companies were open source, but does this put the question of open source code is free speech, which was, I think, dictated by the courts in the early 2000s, maybe? Does this put that kind of ruling back into question? Do you know?
I don't actually know if it's going to change anything with free speech. I don't think it should. But some of these folks are from Russia, so this may have more of a political angle to it as well. But I still think but if you set a precedence that a certain type of technology, right, is open to this kind of a scrutiny, to where you can throw its founders in jail for the software that they built, and they don't have any control over the funds, but you're saying that they are helping transmit, it's two sides of the coin. You can't have it both ways. So I just wanted to bring this up because this is something that you probably will start to see coming out, and put some support behind it, right? Make sure that people realize that you don't think this is right. So if you see something, say something. All right, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time because we're running a little chill tonight on our time. Usually we get started right around 7. Today we're getting a little bit of a later start, but that's okay. Everybody was having such a great time back there. It was great to see so many people show up to the first meetup of the year. And so today we have a very special talk and a guest, it's always great to have somebody who's local. So Alex Heuer from Aptos is here, and he's going to be talking to us. Yeah. And he's a local boy from La Mesa, right? So it's great to have somebody here. He's also the head of payments at Aptos, right? So, and he's previously had experience at Wyre. So the guy really knows the industry. He's been doing this for a while. Put your hands together for Alex Heuer.
Switch this over real quick. Alex, don't forget to unmute. Chris, you can take his mic.
All right. Should be good. Can everyone hear me all right? Yeah. Loud and clear. Awesome. Well, appreciate everyone taking time out of their evening to talk and listen to me talk about Aptos. Hopefully it can be beneficial for you, and then I'll be available for questions after as well. Real quick agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about who we are, what we've been working on, a little bit about how I see industry context and trends, and then Q&A. Some of the figureheads at Aptos, Avery Ching is our founder and CEO. Asha, Tom, and myself kind of lead the BD product and executive team. As mentioned, I was at Wyre before. I joined Aptos about 3 months ago, so I'm still pretty new. I was at Solana for a couple years prior to Aptos. So, before I get started, can anyone tell me what Aptos means? And I've got a prize for you if you know it, or where it comes from.
It is the city of Santa Cruz.
Close. Very close. It is. It was a region and a name for a people south of Santa Cruz. And the word Aptos means for the people. So we are trying to build a blockchain for the people. Our story really starts before 2019. Facebook, as you guys may have remembered, was creating the Libre or Diem project. They spent a long time building that out until regulators got wind of it and said no way in hell we are allowing Facebook to go into stablecoins and payments. And so that got shut down pretty quick. 2019 to 2022, Avery Ching was one of the leaders for the Diem project. Spent that 3 years really doing R&D and how you can turn that technology that they had built into a layer 1. And that's what Aptos is today. So Q1 2022, we officially raised our seed round, $400 million. A16Z, PayPal, Coinbase, Multicoin, the majority of the big players participated in that round. And then today, we're about a team of 140. 120 of those are engineers. I think we have 32 PhDs working on our tech now, so pretty strong and seasoned team. Since launch, we have seen about just under 3 billion total transactions run through our chain, 8 million monthly active accounts, the peak transaction volume, a couple hundred million. Don't ask me what launched on that day because I'm not sure. I got to find that out. And then we're seeing about 60 to 80,000 new accounts created daily. And that's through all of the verticals that we support: DeFi, NFTs, payments, creator, and now AI is the hot topic. So we'll be making some waves there soon. As you can imagine, with our founding team coming from Facebook, we started on more of the institutional side. So all of these names here are signed partners that have launched live products on Aptos. The Buildle Fund, we are the first, as of yesterday, we're the first non-EVM blockchain that Aave has launched on. So yeah, they're on testnet. I think mainnet should be out early next week. Layer 0, Ondo on the institutional side. A lot of these names you guys probably know, but we really have a strong institutional backing today. Here we talk a little bit about what makes us special, right? So what do you need as a layer 1 in order to really scale? You need speed, you need security, and you need a very fast finality. And that's what Aptos provides. So these numbers are realized outside of the test, obviously. So we have the realized fastest TPS. I know Solana, I come from Solana. I got to update this slide on the Aptos side because Solana's done a lot of advancements. But when it comes to finality, we're 200 milliseconds. No one can compete with us there. Solana's 12.8 on a good day. And then the key point for us and what makes us different is Move is the programming language for Aptos. Everyone always asks, why did you leave Solana and join Aptos? And the reason, my kind of why of joining the team is I see Solana as the clear winner of this cycle. No ifs, ands, or buts. But you're going to see a Move-based blockchain, and I believe it'll be Aptos will be the winner of the next cycle. The Move language allows for a lot more programmality than Rust, and definitely than Solidity. A lot of native features around privacy and such built into Move as well. So that's something that sets us apart, as we should be the leaders of Move, as Avery created it. Again, I talked about TPS, time to finality, and then the last point for me as head of payments and what makes my job a lot easier is our transaction costs. So 0.00001 cents. When you're dealing with micropayments, when you're moving money, when you're for remittance applications, especially in countries in Africa and APAC, they're sending a couple dollars. You can't have them have a 50-cent transaction fee, right? So you're seeing a lot of stable coins. We just launched USDT native a couple months ago. USDC we're announcing tomorrow with Circle, or Thursday. So there's some alpha for you. And then we've got a lot of international stable coins being built on Aptos as we move into kind of emerging markets. So the state of our ecosystem, we have 600 active monthly developers, 187 live projects. Again, I talked a little bit about Move. If you're interested in finding some of my favorite projects, would be Amnes Finance for those in DeFi, and then Merkle Trade if anyone's into perps. We got any degens in here? Looks like we got one a couple of them. Aptos Arena is our largest game. So industry context and trends. This is kind of how I'm what I'm working on. Everyone, what does head of payments actually mean? And it can mean a lot of different things depending on the day. My day-to-day is working on any type of anyone issuing a stablecoin wallets. So I've been chatting with Paul a little bit and the Edge team. How do we get more wallets to support Aptos? Cross-border payments, and then all of the the deals with the big guys, the PayPals, the Visas of the world as well, all falls under me. So we are seeing stablecoins reach parity with established settlement networks. we've recently passed PayPal. 2.4 trillion has been transacted across, and this is across all blockchains, not just Aptos, in the last 30 days. You're seeing, especially with the crypto-friendly administration coming in, or supposedly crypto-friendly, we should see these numbers jump up quite a bit. The use case for me is pretty clear. Utilize a user on-ramps fiat through local payment methods, instantly converted to a stable coin, which is then used as the payment rail to send money to whoever it may need to go to. Right, it sounds easy. There's a lot of complexities in that, especially in emerging markets. But it's a massive problem that needs to be solved. And the question to why Web3, I think, is very apparent when it comes to stablecoin usage. 30% of global remittances have been facilitated through stablecoins as of 2024. Massive rise. I think we were at 7% the year in 23. 15% of e-commerce transactions. So you can think merchant settlements for receiving crypto as a payment method. The most ambitious and exciting news for me in payments was Stripe acquiring Bridge. Everyone, a couple, I think, 2 months ago now, 1.1 billion. It really added value and justification into what stablecoin issuers were building and doing. Key opportunities. Payments using stablecoins, right? So the traditional model I kind of mapped out here, like what goes into a payment. It is very cumbersome and complex, as you can see. Web3 strips away a lot of the pieces of the pie that you see on the screen and removes that friction to allow for costs to go down. Merchants get more money in their pocket. The layer ones get the volume, which is what we're looking after and what we work towards. And so it's really kind of a clear win for everyone. Second one would be yields. I mentioned we have a lot of institutions. Everyone, they want to access DeFi, but they can't, right? For regulatory reasons. Products such as Ondo's 24/7 redemption of OUSG for PYUSD, it kind of shows how that on-chain, off-chain hybrid model can be a win for an institution because it's compliant, it's regulated, but you're still getting access to DeFi liquidity. Outside of just payments, stablecoins are being used for a lot of different things, right? So EV charging station credits, I thought that was interesting. Tokenized deposits, obviously, with your banks and such. Supply chain, payroll. There's a lot of new companies being built that are using this as a backend infrastructure. The final piece I'll talk about is just loyalty. Payments overseas commerce as well. There's a lot of commerce-driven opportunities. If you think about it, if you are Manchester United, you've got 220 million fans all around the world. 99.9% of those fans are never going to go to a game, right? But they're still buying your content, your merch. They're streaming your games. They're interacting on their social medias, which is driving value for the Man U brand, but how do you interact and reward with them? And the composability of blockchain allows for that, right? So you can create fan loyalty programs. While at Solana, I was working a lot with the NHL. NHL is very crypto friendly. You will see sporting leagues really embrace this tech because it gives, it rewards their users, and B, also is another revenue generator. Which is what professional sporting leagues are at the end of the day. A couple of the brands that have launched loyalty programs, you will see the blockchain of choice has been Polygon. The downside is a lot of these programs have not been successful, right? And why is that? Polygon, not to bash Polygon, they've made some good decisions, but in order for these programs to really gain traction, you need buy-in from the brand. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with enterprises that are just looking for a check from the layer one in order for their loyalty program to be built on chain. They don't give a crap about it. And so it doesn't really get that adoption piece that we on the layer 1 side are interested in. I think that was Polygon's shortcoming. But you are seeing there's a lot, Hugo Boss just launched, and there's going to be a lot more, especially when it comes to sports, loyalty programs launched in 2025. And that's what I have for you guys. Any questions?
I'll
Check,
start
check,
with a
check,
question.
check.
We got this one too? I'll start with a question. Regarding stable coins, there seems to be a lot more projects coming out these days with stable coins. What are some of the criteria in a stablecoin project that you're looking for? And have you been talking to the state of Wyoming?
The second piece, yes, without getting into too many details. I think for us, what we're interested in is the nationalized stablecoins, right? So the Bank of Mexico, El Salvador, as you guys can imagine, are doing a lot in this regard. And then I also want the big guys. I kind of want my cake and to eat it too. So working with the PayPal team to bring PYUSD to Aptos, and so on and so forth. It's one thing to bring it to the layer 1. It's another thing to make sure it's successful. And I think that's why you see, PYUSD's launch on Solana, I don't think was created in the correct fashion. And so that second piece is very hard, but it is essential. So to answer your question, anything from international to enterprise.
So I'm going to follow up. Could you elaborate why you think that the PYUSD on Solana was not a success? In your own personal opinion.
I have more of the PayPal's team's vision that they were upset about it, but all they really did was create liquidity pools on Camino for PYUSD incentives, right? When you launch incentives in DeFi, people chase the yield for a limited amount of time, and then the rewards are removed or moved elsewhere, and so the liquidity follows. It's an age-old problem. It's a hard problem to solve because that needs to be a piece of it, but it can't be the only piece.
Wonderful, thank you. Got a question right here in the front?
We had one back here as well.
Back to Wyoming, what do you see coming down the pike? I think they're a few months out from announcing something really, but what do you find, and I'm sure you've read the bill or something of the sort, what do you find best about Wyoming and stablecoins and what they're trying to do?
Personally, I'm kind of nervous about it because I want to. I'm curious to see the market's reaction, right? Senator Cynthia Loomis is obviously the most pro-crypto member of Congress, but there's still a lot there's still the majority of them that have no idea what a blockchain is, what crypto is. So what the internet is, how payments are moved. Don't get me started on the ACH system. But I'm nervous. I'm excited because it's the first U.S. use case of stablecoin adoption by a governing body. But I'm very nervous to see how that launch goes. And it's not going to be launched on Aptos. I don't know what chain it's going to be on.
Oh, there's a specific chain.
Oh, it's specific chain that they're yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, we had an RFP at Solana for it. I left after that decision was made, so I'm not too sure. Yeah.
First, thanks for coming.
Yeah, not a problem.
Done. Thank you. I have a question about SUI and then Supra. Are those also on Move? And then do you guys collaborate or compete or?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
There is intense tribalism between Aptos and SUI.
Okay.
Just put that.
Meta, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the story there is Max, who is the godfather of the Move programming language, and Avery were the leads of their teams. After it got shut down, Avery wanted, SUI originated with, they wanted to just launch like an NFT platform. They didn't have the vision of making a layer 1 originally. They saw Avery and Mo raise 400 million, and they're like, "What the heck are we doing?" Right? So because of that, there's definitely tribalism between Sui and Aptos. I would say, like, if I'm a game or I'm building a game, I would choose Sui, right? Sui is all in on gaming. They do not, the architecture that they have built is not set up for it's not really set up for payments. I can't tell you how many teams, it's the first question I ask when I'm assessing grants. It's like, have you chatted with Sui? And they're like, yeah, we didn't like anything they had to say. They don't have, we did a full audit of their architecture, and it's not built for payment applications. But if you want to launch a game, they've got their handheld device. They're doing a lot with sport. They're paying for a lot of sporting loyalty programs, and there's some gaming overlaps there. Sui is a strong contender, right? They're definitely a competitor. Funny story, our office is in Palo Alto. Sui's office is a half block down the street. And so my first day, or the end of my first week, I went up to the office to work at, did my happy hour with a few coworkers, and it just so happened that Sui was doing a company party at the same bar that night. So we were kind of just on a stare off, and yeah, it was fun. But yeah.
What about?
I mean, they had like 40 of them. We had 4. You know. So. Exactly.
What about Supra? Is that Move also, or?
I'm not too familiar with Supra. I mean, Movement is the next one. Movement is just, if you ask people at Aptos, and I'm not a developer, but they'll say it's a copy-paste version of our code to a T, basically. I don't have enough of an opinion to give my take on that, but that's what the internal vibe would be.
Sorry, just follow up with that one. Are they also like built with the Cosmos SDK, like Movement? I've heard about them.
Oh, thank you.
I believe Movement is Cosmos' SDK. I am pretty sure. I mean, the majority of layer 1s that are launching are built using it, especially in 2023, 2024.
Stewie tribe member here, and I was gonna ask about what you feel about Stewie, but it was good to hear. Do you feel like the Move programming language, what does it have to offer that's better than like Rust and Solana, and how is it kind of future proof, or what does it have to offer?
Yeah,
innovation wise.
Yeah, that's a great question. The way that I sell the answer to that question to potential partners is this: it's when we were at Solana building in Rust, we had to build a whole set of new features called token extensions, right? That allowed for anything. It was basically built for institutions because you needed privacy, you needed revocability, confidential transfers, transaction masking, so on and so forth. Basically taking all of the features of a private blockchain and moving it onto the public layer 1. That is programmably native. All of those features that I just mentioned, plus others, are we didn't need to build anything else. That was launched when we launched mainnet. So, you even talked, like Toli always says, like, I wish we had a way to incorporate Move into Solana, right? I know that there's proposals to work towards that on their end. I don't know where that stands, but I would say Sui and Aptos, Move is special to Sui and Aptos. I left, Solana, like I said, Solana's a clear winner this cycle. Sui or Aptos will be a clear winner of the next cycle, in my opinion.
Got a question, but first a clarification. Did you say that each transaction is 0.0001 cents or dollars? 0.001 cents.
Yeah, 4 zeros.
And it was it 80K transactions per second?
Realized was 12.8, theoretical 150.
So 12. So by my calculations, that makes for about $1,000 of revenue per day. Is that enough to sustain the validators?
That's a great question.
I think by comparison, PayPal makes like 80 million a day.
Yeah. Great question. We haven't had any push, like people are eating right now across the industry when it's a bull market. I think that's a lot more difficult question when it's a bear market, right? And APT is, our validators are making, 9-10%, with MEV included and so on and so forth. So they're eating fine when, APT's up pretty substantially. Well, the whole market's down now, but over the last year, it's up pretty substantially. That's a great question when we're in a bear market. I'm not sure the answer to that. My initial thought would say no, right? There's got to be some type of give and take, and there's things that we can do on the blockchain side to edit rewards, right? And incentivize different validators in different ways, move our foundation APT to certain pools, so on and so forth. But yeah, that's something that Michael Ching is the head of our finance team, and that is a very hard question for him to answer.
Seems like we just make it a penny, you'd kill every other blockchain and do pretty well.
Yeah.
I just had a question about kind of like ecosystem size. Like, our NFTs are live on the chain, right? So,
yeah.
like, are people launching projects, and kind of what are the top, like, what's the top 1 or top 3 if you're like, oh, I wanted to go to the marketplace? Like, what's their OpenSea or like Magic Eden, whatever?
Yeah. I mean, so we're supported by all the major ones, right?
Okay.
Magic Eden, Rarible.
Got it.
Right now, the hot ticket is Emoji Coin, right? So it's our, I don't know if it's the first, but it had gained the most traction within our ecosystem. It's a meme coin that has an NFT portion as well. So it's always, it's hard for us to decide, like, where do we deploy resources, right? Because right now the market is saying meme coins. We can't justify to anyone deploying capital towards meme coin projects, right? Like, that's not, yeah.
If they got a community and a culture, then they...
Exactly. And there's ways that we could assist, but like financial backings, like that's a tough story to sell. So it depends on industry trends, right? We're agnostic. Our role at the foundation and labs level is to unblock developers and founders building projects. You do that with technical engineering support, financial support, marketing and comm support, and then just building up your infrastructure. So we've deployed a lot. We built our own indexer. Like I said, I'm not that technical. But it's supposed to be pretty cool. That was built by Aptos Labs, very expensive project. But we're doing the dev tooling and infrastructure that we have built. I have gotten feedback that it's great.
Cool. Yeah, I'll take a look at the. I saw a TypeScript library, so it's probably.
Yeah.
And then just last thing, what's the main wallet or best wallet
Petra.
used to Petra? Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully Edge in a couple months. See.
So as far as SUI using the Move programming language, I heard that they use objects instead of wallets. And what does Aptos do?
We don't, so I'm not sure, I don't know the SUI architecture, but we use wallets. I'm not sure what that difference is there, to be honest with you. If you're interested, I can shoot a Slack message to someone, and I can get you an answer after. Yeah.
If it's simple for a non-technical person.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to get one after here shortly.
All right, I got another question over here.
Thank you so much for the slideshow. Really appreciate all the data, graphics, and everything. So previously you said you worked at Solana, and then you gave us some history between SUI and what you guys are doing. So do you feel like it's still like you're in like heavy competition? It's like we're going to be the blockchain, or is it going to be like, hey, every blockchain is going to take their own path and avenue and fall into place at some point especially with how things are trending.
Yeah.
Over the past year, we've seen a lot of like support from Venmo, PayPal, like a little bit more adoption in different ways.
Yep.
And then with obviously everything with legislation and government kind of like leaning towards where we think and hope it's going to go.
Yep.
So is it more kind of competition, or everybody's going to have their own avenue?
It's
in your
definitely competition.
Really?
You know, like
Thank
I said, Solana is going to be the clear winner of at least the next 12 months. You know, I've got nothing but good things to say about Solana. Great. Everyone at the foundation is overly friendly. I enjoyed my time there. What's going to set layer ones apart is, do you have a purpose? Like, what are you doing? You have, and it's a tough question because you have to build up your ecosystem in every vertical, right? Like, you can't ignore NFTs in order to only focus on payments, only focus on DeFi. You need each of those pieces of the puzzle. But you only have, where do you deploy your capital? Who gets the most money? What projects do you want to incentivize? Where do you see the adoption? And so Solana, I would say, is the leader in payments right now. When it comes, you know, so we built Solana Pay. You probably just saw Helio I think on Monday got acquired $175 million. And so you're seeing all of these blue chips. So what I need at Aptos, and if you guys know anyone, I need the equivalents of Sling Money, of Helio, of Decaf to be built on Aptos, because it makes my job, you know, part of it is building up the ecosystem. The other piece is the enterprise BD with the PayPals of the world. But to answer your question, with our transaction fees as cheap as they are, it's specifically built for payments, and that's why we are going in on payments. Sui's not approaching it the same way. They're doing more of a gaming focus. So the winners of the next cycle will have a specific purpose, in my opinion.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Got another question up front here.
Thank you. So banking would be a good, getting some international banks on board.
100%, yeah. So Solomon is my counterpart on the institutional side. He's in Dubai, London every other week. I think that the U.S. space, the U.S. institutional space is pretty well established, right? The banks have either said we're either in or we're not.
What about the real-world asset sector or securitization?
Tokenization, yeah, that's all he's doing all day, every day.
Okay. We got to
bringing those to Aptos. Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
So I'd love to talk to you about after that. We're working on a lot of tokenization
Yeah.
projects overseas with athletes and their, you talked about earlier, the loyalty program.
Yep.
Love to speak with you about that.
Yeah, not a problem. That'd be great.
The real world assets is really in our pony. Yeah.
Yep.
Can I ask a second question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know how many we're allowed, but
Yeah.
so you mentioned it's cut off. Okay. You mentioned some sports in this upcoming year. Are you guys in talks with any sports? I know you said you worked with the NHL prior. Like, what's your kind of take, as much as you can share, in terms of what you're seeing or who you've kind of talked with?
Yeah, so I'd say they fall into, this goes back to finding the deals that you get that actually have buy-in from the team or league, rather than the teams that are reaching out to you saying, hey, we're going to launch a loyalty program, give us $5 million.
Yeah.
Like, I shut those conversations down instantly. The good ones that I have seen come across my plate, Live Golf is doing some interesting things. The NHL, their tech stack is a nightmare, but like hopefully in 3 years that's untangled enough to launch something. Maple Leaf Sports Group, they own the Leafs, the Raptors, Toronto Argonauts, the Rogers Center.
Yeah.
So if you think, like, if you're a Leafs fan, you're also a Raptors fan, right? You're also an Argonauts fan. You're spending money on all three. Why not create a program that, so like that type of thing makes sense.
So if you get the right leadership and group that's like authentically, hey, we really care about this and we really want to do it, not just because, hey, we want to make sure we're covering our base and not get
The
left
easiest
behind.
way to tell is like the majority of them don't have a blockchain developer. Those that I mentioned do, so it shows their commitment to hire an expensive developer to help actually build the thing.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And just before the next comment, I just want to let everybody know, I forgot to mention when I was up on stage, we do a lightning round at the end of the talk. So if there's something you want to announce, I know we're still taking questions, but when we're done, you can feel free to like line up over here on the other side where it says Edge Secure Your Freedom. So you can line up behind there, and then we'll bring you up on stage, and you can talk about what you're working on, or what you're looking for, or anything that you want to talk about for 60 seconds, and then you get the big hook.
Cool. Yeah, in the back.
Hi, thanks for coming. So it seems like your market penetration strategy are like stablecoin use cases. I have two questions, by the way, if you don't mind. What are the other use cases that you guys are going after? And then the second one is with the rise of, the social awareness rise of quantum computing, do you guys have a plan in place? Are you guys, because to my understanding, you guys will probably have to hard fork in order to do that, which is obviously a pain. What's your plan there?
Yeah.
And
So the second question I'll answer first. Yes, we definitely have a plan. I know it's above my technical knowledge to sit in with David and Avery have had that conversation. A plan will be put into action by the end of the month for everything that we're doing for the year, and that's one of the pieces for it. So it's basically how are we thinking about quantum computing? What are we doing with AI? And what am I doing in payments, right? So all of those, we'll have organizational KPIs that will trickle down, and I'll make decisions based on whatever those become. The first part of your first question, what else are we working on the ecosystem front? In 2020, so I come from Solana, where Solana's biggest expenditures were dev acquisition, right? Like if anyone has been to a Solana hacker house, they're probably second to none, right? We had a $30 million budget yearly, and so we've got a ton of devs moving from Solidity to Rust, and now Solana's the fastest growing, or is the fastest growing developer ecosystem. Because our founders come from more of that Web 2 space with Facebook, we started on the institutional side and the Web 2 enterprise side. We need to build up our ecosystem. So Avery has, if you follow him on Twitter, is saying we're going all in on ecosystem in 2025. Dev acquisition, you're going to see a lot more, hacker houses and things along those lines run by Aptos. Significant capital being deployed to tackle some of those issues, but we just need more devs building cool stuff. And that's across all verticals. For me, it's specifically like I need someone building Sling Money on Aptos using Aptos-based stablecoins, Decaf, Helio. We might even build a Solana Pay equivalent in-house and launch that and ship it out. But the problem you run into, at Solana, the mindset was we're going to build, Solana Labs is going to build something, hand it off to an ecosystem team to grow and maintain. Because that second piece is very difficult, right? Like you have to hire a whole team at Labs. They're not going to do that. We need teams in our ecosystem that we trust, that as we ship these very large projects, we can give them to them because they've proven themselves in their core business as an additive, right? So that piece, it's very hard, but that's what we're working towards.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just wanted to know, what your thoughts about abstract are.
Well, what was it?
Abstract mainnet.
I'm not too familiar with abstract. I can't give you a good opinion on that. Yeah.
You mentioned also.
Oh, sorry.
I think one of the questions earlier mentioned some like athletic teams, and there's one that you mentioned we wouldn't really service them. I'm curious if you've seen like personally a trend in specific companies that come to you and you say, hey, we wouldn't really support something like that, or our infrastructure is not set up properly for it. Do you see a trend like that in kind of who you're speaking with?
So the question is like, are companies approaching us with their ideas and problems that the underlying architecture or the blockchain might not solve itself?
Yeah, maybe a trend in companies that come to you that.
Not yet. I think when you manage different types of data systems for traditional Web 2 companies, you're going to run into that. We can basically, and you know, like I said, we've got a team of 130 engineers. If a good opportunity comes to us, I can literally call David and Avery and said, I need a team of 4 people to go build this on our side so that it's ready to use by the partner. So you're seeing that start to happen a little bit more, kind of niche needs. But the overarching, you know, kind of things for me specifically with payments and confidentiality, that's already natively built into Move and to Aptos.
Yeah, just a quick question. You mentioned Movement Network, and it seems like that's a collaborative modular setup. Is that competition or collaboration?
Collaboration. That's exactly correct.
Okay.
I know we've had, I don't do that, focus on that, but I know we have conversations with the Movement team. We see them as an ally. Swee's a little bit different.
Got it. Thank you.
Actually got a quick one myself. Your presentation said 30% of global remittances were through stablecoins.
Yep.
And no big deal if you don't know the answer, but I was just curious, do you know what the other 70% are?
It's just traditional fiat rails. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm super new to this space, so it's a pretty basic question. But some people's questions were, I think, similar. But it sounds like there's a bunch of L1s that compete. They also all, like, just, I'm not technical. I'm outside looking in, so I don't mean for this to sound combative. But they also sound kind of centralized, like your big SaaS companies competing with each other and, like, kind of diffusing the capital, the talent, and all fighting over it. So... and you're saying, like, we just need people to come build cool shit. It also sounds like kind of a walled garden a little bit when you're picking between your L1. So, how, like, over time, do you think that all gets evened out where there are some, to someone's question earlier, like, here are the long-term winners for these functions, like you said,
Yeah.
or there's better interoperability, or is it always, like, you're kind of, if you're going to build something cool, you're trying to figure out where to go, and it's always changing, you know?
100%. The easiest answer to that is, like, if you're an Ethereum dev, you are pretty dug in towards Ethereum and EVM, right? Like, there's just like Aptos and Sui have a little bit of a rift. Solana and Ethereum's goes back for a long time. Even though Solana is a much better option to launch a new application on than Ethereum is today, as is, they're stuck in their ways, right? So that's one subset. You also have that new subset that's willing to try new things. And that's what basically the majority of Solana's devs are, right? That's how they got into Rust. And we're, you know, my end goal on how we grow this thing is we take Rust devs and move them to Move. That's expensive to do. Solana still has, the majority of them are, it's, you know, there's that tribalism factor. But I would say that they're more open to trying new things, especially in what Move is very new programming language. So there's not a lot of, like, tried and tested businesses that have been built out of it.
Cool. And sorry, one quick follow. Like, do you envision, say, 10 years from now, I know that's really hard to envision, but if I'm going to build something cool for Web3, will it still be a big choice of, I need to really commit to, like, one of those tribes, as you're putting it, or?
So you're saying basically, like, do you see a world if the layer ones will become so interoperable with each other that it won't matter? I do not. I used to think that. I used to think that there wouldn't be a clear winner, that there'd be so many bridges and different tools that that interoperability piece between EVM and non-EVM would be possible. My mentality on that has changed. Probably just from my time working at Solana. Like Solana, there's we don't want to support EVM. If you, support EVM smart contracts, you lose a lot of what makes Solana special. The same applies to Move, to Aptos, to Sui in a sense. So you'll see certain projects. I mean, Ethereum has chosen the layer 2s as their scaling solution, right? So there'll be something there if you're choosing to build an EVM. Outside of that, you're going to be choosing an L1 based on their tech rather than the fact that it will be interoperable, in my opinion.
Cool, thank you.
Why do you feel that Solana is a better choice to build an application than on the EVM? Isn't Solana missing some key features that EVM has already implemented, things like paymaster, account abstraction, and other pieces?
I know account abstraction exists on Solana. I'm not sure on the first piece. I guess why I said it would be a better option is it's faster and cheaper, right? Like you can't build a scalable application on Ethereum right now. It's not possible. You could build one on Solana. So that's, unless you're doing something in DeFi, where you're moving mass amounts of money at a singular transaction, not very often, that can be built in Ethereum, right?
Do you feel that Aptos and maybe even Solana are positioned to share developer mindshare in the way that Ethereum has? I mean, you have researchers, industry devs.
We have a lot of work to do there. That's my North Star goal, but I don't think we're there yet. I think that the answer to the work towards that problem will be come to fruition mid-2026.
And then a question against Move. I heard you say that you're saying you want to pull in Rust developers to learn Move. Currently in the state of engineering, we're getting pretty much new languages all the time, right? So you have Zig today, you've got Mojo the other day, you have Rust, Move. Why would an engineer, I've heard that you've said things like, oh, you have built-in privacy and other functions that these languages don't have, but building tooling on top of a language is a pretty trivial task today. So why would an engineer want to learn Move?
Because they want to take they want to take the scalability factors into consideration for their application, right? Like speed, finality, all of that stuff exists on other layer 1s, right? So if you're building a payments, if you're launching and minting a ton of NFTs, right? You're doing something like Drip. That's going to require hundreds of millions of transactions to process that. If the gas fee is 50 cents, that's way too expensive, right? So you're going to start looking into other ecosystems and therefore take the time to learn what sets them apart. I agree with you that developers usually have a preference, right? Like they have the historical context building something in Solidity, right? And so they've built up through the Ethereum community, and so they usually stick with Ethereum. It's that secondary piece that I think us at Aptos we're looking to find.
Yeah, fair enough. I do think that, I'll say just this part, that majority of good engineers are polyglots and that they'll explore any language. I think that the EVM's competitive edge is the culture and what it's defined.
They've been, they're the first mover, right? They've, ETH Denver, all of those events, like people have been coming together at those communities for years, right? Solana launched mainnet 3 years ago. We launched it just under 2, right? So we're playing catch up.
Yep, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you guys are focusing really on the payment side of things. Does this extend to the tokenization of real world assets? I met someone tonight who's in the property real world asset tokenization game. I myself focus on stable coins that are commodity backed, some other ones. So is there already platforms or for real world assets?
100%. Yep. So Solomon, anyone interested in having that conversation, come find me after. Solomon's the head of our RWA and institutional piece. I'll make an introduction.
You mentioned Layer 0 was one of the investments or contributors, or?
I believe
It was on one of your slides. I don't know
Okay.
which one it was.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what kind of work are you doing with them? Because I know kind of talked about interoperability and whatnot, and so I know they're doing some things with that, and so I'm just kind of like, are they just trying to do things preventative wise to make sure we're getting some things set up, even though we're not fully there, like you were mentioning?
I think that's my understanding. The infra team chats with Layer 0. I know that we have conversations. I don't know what they entail.
Got it. Thanks.
Wow, what a great set of questions tonight, everybody. Thank you. Put your hands together for yourselves and for Alex.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to do lightning round. So if anybody has anything they want to talk about, announce, bring up, you can come up on stage. Anybody else can line up over here while the person's speaking, and we'll get started.
Thank you. How's it going? My name is Brian. I run a monthly Bitcoin meetup in Pacific Beach. We had a couple regulars here. Shitcoiners here. We talk about Bitcoiners there, I'm a Bitcoin monetary maxi. I believe there's opportunity in all of the other spaces in Web3, so don't feel like you got to be a Bitcoin maxi to join. You might even, have a friendly debate about why Bitcoin's not the only important chain. Come on down. We're like a big Italian family. We like to yell over drinks and good times. So talk to me if you're in PB, first Wednesday of the month. It's a happy hour, so it's 4:30 to 6:30, and I can be home to put my kids in bed. All good stuff. Thank you for hosting, and everyone, thank you.
Yeah, we were just at that meetup. It was a great meetup. How's it going, everybody? My name is Rodrigo. I go by Rod in the Web3 space. Me and my buddy Chili over here run a stake pool node on the Cardano network. And we also host meetups all over San Diego. We're doing one here actually on the 17th, so hope to see you back. And if you hold any Cardano, then stake DRMZ. Thank you. What time? 6 p.m.
Friday. Hi, everyone. My name is Axel. On Web3, like you said, I'm known as Axel AI. I'm launching a podcast about AI and imagination, and crypto's at the intersect of that. So I'm trying to find knowledge leaders and thought leaders that want to speak about how the imagination really has no limit now. With AI, anything you can imagine is possible, because you can help it brainstorm ideas. You can talk about new chains. You can brainstorm with GPT crazy things, but then put it over in Claude and decipher that, and then go over to Gemini and be like, code me a prototype, and boom, it's there. So I get chills from how incredible the opportunities are that are coming up. And my day job, I guess, is I've done mortgages for 20 years. I've been in the mortgage lending space, and since 20 years ago, I've been forever trying to integrate technology, and there's no better place to do that than with crypto. So I've got to talk to Aptos to see how we can do a pilot, and very excited to be here. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Axel AI. Imagine Axel, yeah. With a K.
Hi everyone, my name is Ricardo Martinez. Online I go by Red Pill Rick. I have two businesses that I'm currently working on right now, two projects. One is in the real world asset tokenization space. It's called RE Tokens. We're creating a secondary marketplace where these real estate owners can take their shares in the forms of tokens and be able to sell them on the secondary marketplace. And so that's one of my big asks is I'm looking for real estate syndicators that are modern and the way that they want to really raise their syndications and their funds. And so that's one of the biggest things that I'm here for today. The second one is most people don't understand what I do for a living. So I created a crypto onboarding program for just beginners that are just starting out, want to understand how to get their first wallets. Really, I hold their hand through the whole process. And so both of them kind of complement each other. So that's really what I've been focusing on nowadays. And the rest of the community could help me out. That'd be awesome.
Hi, everybody. I'm Valerie. I'm VDizzle online. 777. But yeah, I'm the founder of San Diego NFT Friends, which is another meetup group. We started back in June of 2021 and been meeting every single month since. And we actually have a meetup here at Edge Wallet headquarters on January 22nd. It's on a Wednesday from 6:30 to 9. It's going to be to celebrate the Chinese New Year, so we'll have some special Chinese traditional treats for you guys. You can find us on Luma if you look up Luma/red-rug and put on your Ethereum wallets. You're going to want to do that because you'll get a special gift. But besides that, I do own a Web3 event company called Red Rug Edutainment. So if anyone has a project or wants to do something, I'm always able to support and put on events for you guys. So yeah, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Melody Heald. I'm currently open to work. I just finished a wonderful contract working for Generali Global, doing international expense and travel work. And prior to that, Sempra Energy. So I wanted to throw that out there in case anyone here knows anyone, has anything to do. Please see me for that. I'm also currently head of my chapter, Worthy Matron, for Order of the Eastern Star, a Masonic fraternity, over in El Cajon Heartland Lodge. So if that's something that interests you, also please see me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is the lightning round, huh? I felt like there was going to be questions with that. So, all right. My name's Keegan. I host a weekly X Spaces 10KTF Teaching Tuesdays. Just wanted to come and kind of pitch that if anybody wants to stop by every week. I've been doing it for a little over 2.5 years. Obviously, I made a little adjustment today for tonight. So sometimes I do it on a Wednesday or Thursday for different events, you know, Christmas, New Year's Eve, in real life. But yeah, love to have different guests that are legitimate, authentic, building in the space. And my background's actually in education. I currently work in San Diego Unified, 13 years now. As a classroom teacher for 10 years, 3 years at the district office now, taught English, physical education. A lot of familiar faces here. It's a really great group. Really excited to see where this is going in 2025. So thank you, Paul, for hosting this, and thank you, everybody, for coming out here. Really excited. Show is 10KTF Teaching Tuesdays, and my handle on X is Keegan __KEEGAN __. So underscore in the front, underscore in the back, and then my name. I'll be around.
Thank you, Keegan. All right, well, that concludes tonight's program. Please help yourself to beverages, and if there's